This, my friends, is the Bose QuietComfort Ultra 2 earbuds, or the box for it anyway, and this is the Status Audio Pro X. Both totally brand spanking new, both exactly the same tariff price. One wants to retain its title of King of Active Noise Cancellation while also, surprise surprise, claiming to have industry-leading sound this time round. And the other is a cult favorite that has been improved and tweaked every which way over its predecessor, the Between 3 ANC. In fact, I called the 3 ANC a flawed gem when I last reviewed it, so has Status Audio stepped up the game this time? Well, in either case, there's only one way to find out. The Bose QuietComfort Ultra 2 and Status Audio Pro X retail for $300 each, putting them squarely in the premium earbud space. The Bose comes in 3 colorways, while the Status Audio just comes in one single version, for now anyway. Both run Bluetooth 5.3, although supported codecs are different. AAC, SBC, and aptX adaptive for the Ultra 2, while the Pro X does AAC, SBC, LDAC, and LC3 with support for Auracast if that ever becomes a thing. The Bose has IPX4 water dust resistance, whereas the Pro X is stronger at IP55 rating, and both of these have active noise cancellation and pass-through mode and all that, of course, and we'll talk more about how they perform later on in the episode. If you want to skip there, you can use the quick skip buttons down below. But basically, active noise cancellation, I'll grade the Bose as an A++ if there's such a thing, and pass-through an A-, really nice stuff, whereas the Pro X is a little bit weaker, A- for active noise cancellation and B- for pass-through. Now, by the way, mono mode, you can use each of these individually, but in mono mode, the Pro X allows you to turn on active noise cancellation for what it's worth. As for the drivers, I believe on the Bose it's still 9.3 like the previous gen, and the Pro X has a 12mm dynamic now. That's 2mm larger than the 3 ANC, as well as 2 balance armatures per side, and the former handling bass and the BAs handling mids and highs. Now the weight for the Status, it would be 6.1 grams per bud, and the Bose was 7.8 grams per side. And battery life on these things, for the Bose I got 5.5 hours at 65% volume with ANC on and aptX adaptive, and for the Status Audio 7.2 hours also at 65% volume ANC on and with LC3. Using LDAC drops that number to 6.6 hours. We've kind of already sort of talked about this, so not necessarily a spoiler here, but part of the reason why the Bose has a superior noise cancellation system has to do with the number of mics it has. It has 4 per side versus 3 on the Pro X. It's still a strong number, but in the world of ANC, at least in our current technology, more mics the better. That means you can capture more sound, more blind spots around the whole earbud itself for the system to work on. In terms of build quality, guys, these things are fantastic. I'll tell you what, definitely worth the premium grade, not necessarily the price. I still think tariffs have to do with that $300 price point. But in terms of build, these things are really nicely done, really nice in the hand. Glossy plastics more so for the Bose, if that's your thing, and this chrome surround here. Depending on the colorway, of course, that will be different. On the Pro X, there's this bisection of matte plastics and a little bit of a chrome right here. Slightly smaller, of course, than the past, but you can see the form factor is pretty much the same. Like most Bose earbuds, as well as the OG QC Ultra, the Ultra 2 doesn't just rely on ear tips to lock themselves in your ear. They also have these removable ear fins that you can swap out to find the best fit, which is really nice. This black window that you see right here is a sensor for the auto start stop play function, and all the other ports and holes are for venting, as well as the mics. Nothing you have to worry about too much. And here we have the touchpad surface, really nice and sensitive. Now swapping out the ear tips if you have to is really easy. It locks itself really nicely, but once you have it off, and there's a shield for keeping things clean, and it doubles up with the one on the ear tip itself, and putting it back on, look at that, you hear that click, it is done. I love how simple the design is on the Pro X, and it is so much smaller than the 3 ANC. It is great. The physical button is still here at the top. It has limited functionality. It controls things like ANC pass-through, as well as sound profile swapping. And then here we have a proper touchpad. You can enable or disable any or all of them as you like. And at the back here, it's very simple. Just the window right there for the wear detection or auto pause play sensor. And the nozzle, when you pull that off, look how much larger it is than the Bose. This is like comparing a garden hose to a fire hose or something. It has a metal mesh screw right there, no protector on the ear tip, so you have to make sure to keep this clean. But otherwise, putting it back on is very quick as well, but arguably not as quick as the Bose. The cases themselves are obviously quite different. The Pro X looks smaller, but you can see the Bose is a little bit thinner, so may slip in your pocket better. It really depends on how you want to carry it, like in your tight jeans pocket or in your purse or whatever. One of these may work better, so something to consider there. The Pro X has glossy innards here for easier cleaning, and the rest is matte plastics. It has wireless charging at the bottom and USB-C at the back, and has this little nice chrome surround just to embellish it a little bit more. There's an LED light to show you charging status. Here's the pairing button right there. It is very simple, and the build quality on this is nice and solid. The lid doesn't have too much flex, and the magnet is nice and strong, and there is a decent locking mechanism at the back. It is matte plastics all around for the Bose. There's a pairing button right there. The charging coil, the wireless charging coil, is right there, so you place it on a table like so. USB-C charging at the bottom here, much quicker of course to charge that way. Glossy plastics on the inside of the lid as well as in the cavities, easier to clean. I wish there was a bigger cutout right here for your fingers to fit, especially those with bigger fingers, and especially if your fingers are greasy or slippery from sweat. It is harder to remove than the Pro X quickly. And since we're here, let's do the shake test. This is just for fun to see if you like drop it on the floor in the gym or something, whether they go flying. Yeah, this thing stays in place when the Pro X. Let's try this. Yeah, so it's a thumbs up for the Bose and thumbs down for the Pro X. We have Bittersweet by Leanne La Havas running on the Pro X right now, piping from my OnePlus Open that's sitting at the end of my deck. And of course, we're outside doing the Bluetooth range test, guys. Thank you for joining me today. And this is a non-scientific test where we, walk around from the back of my house towards the side. Same thing every week or every episode to see the strength of Bluetooth in direct line of sight and around walls and such. So we're 25 feet away, and I have this running on LDAC, which is the shortest Bluetooth protocol range, or one of the shortest. And right around here, we should start getting some kind of, like on cue, like a left-right fluctuation. Signal is losing strength there. If I switch this to LC3 or aptX if they had it, this would be somewhere around where it would start getting issues. So that's pretty good actually that the LDAC held on as much as it did. So it worked according to spec. And you can see these, how they sit in my ears. They protrude a whole lot less lengthwise and depthwise compared to the Between 3 ANCs, the predecessor. And these are super stable, very comfortable in my ears. Like I've been running with these and they're solid, man. I'll tell you what, no pressure points when you're on a downward stroke of your step or anything like that. I mean, I have noticed some kind of heat or pressure point, which I'll talk more about it later on in the show, after about an hour, half an hour to an hour compared to the Bose. But for other people it may not be a problem at all. So be sure to test these out before you commit, and that way you won't have any long-term issues. Right off the bat, ANC on these superior to the Pro X. So much quieter, I can't hear anything around me. So music tends to project a little bit more. It feels more personal compared to something that lets a little bit more noise in. But we'll talk more about SQ later on. Same deal. We have Leanne La Havas' song running, and this should last a bit longer because it is running aptX on this one, aptX adaptive. So right around the corner, still no problems whatsoever. And right around here, we didn't. They're still going strong right now. Oh, we just got one. There you go. It's around, I would say 55 feet before things went south there. So very good performance from that aptX adaptive chipset. So whatever it is, I'm not sure what the processor, either one of them, Bose and Status Audio, don't reveal what processor they use, but I've been trying to get information on that. If I do, I will pop it down the screen below. Oh, the old problem that plagued the second gen or the first gen is still here. So when you have a heavy step, anytime my heel hits the ground, I have that little occlusion effect as well. So runners, stay away from these. But comfort-wise, these things are fantastic. So this next segment should be an interesting one because both claim to have really upped their game in terms of phone call quality, especially Bose, and people expect that over the first gen. But we'll see once we get traffic passing through. It's really quiet right now, even though it's rush hour here in Maine. But that's typical how life is. It's much slower here, more chillaxing. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Right off the bat, some notes. When you get a phone call, there's no pass-through mode that comes on. Some systems do that for better situational awareness. You have to activate this yourself. I wish there was an option or a toggle in the app that allows you to do that. And as the user, control that. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. And I'm not sure if it will show up in the recording, but the multiple times I've tested this, for some reason, I was expecting a clear voice quality. I mean, don't get me wrong, it sounds really good, my voice and everything, but it sounds stereographically more digital. I don't know, it's more echoey, I guess. Does it sound like I'm in a fish bowl or something? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments which you prefer.
Run, 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 run. We're simulating wind entering the mics. How do these sound?
Now, I didn't do it on the Bose for a big reason, same reason why I mentioned it earlier. Anytime it runs, that whole occlusion or the vacuum seal break effect is so heavy and severe on me anyway. I just can't stand it. So there's that. Now, down by the roadside here comes some cars coming down this way. But right off the bat, it is more digitized. The noise suppression algorithm is not as advanced here. So compared to Bose anyway, but it sounds fine. And I would say it's above average. Also, another note is when you get a phone call, same like the Bose, you don't go into pass-through mode. Here comes a truck. This should, push the algorithm a little bit to the maximum. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. You get out of the sun. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. How does that sound, guys? Thank you again for joining me today. Let's head back to the studio. Both of these couldn't have more different app experiences, I'll tell you what. The Status Hub app, for example, is clearly more audio-centric, plus provides users with what seems like the full potential of the onboard chipset than other manufacturers that tend to lock certain features down, if you know what I'm saying. Now, at the top, you have battery levels, and during my month or so using these, the left and right buds seem to drain at the same rate, which I like to see. We have 3 noise control modes. There's off, active noise cancellation with a wind noise reduction option, and ambient that has 4 strength levels, and I found that high to be the most natural. There is also plenty to play with in the EQ settings. There are 5 presets as well as an 8-band parametric with what seems like a sizable number of custom save spots. I practically gave up after 11. And here is where you can set up different actions for touch controls or disable any or all of them together. There are also very limited controls for the physical buttons with no way to customize them, which is a totally missed opportunity, I think. What is nice to see, though, is a side tone function for phone calls. And by the way, props to the app designers who included very clear and good-looking information bubbles for most of the menu items. It's very helpful. Tapping settings on the top right brings you to some duplicate access to functions, although interestingly, dynamic EQ is hidden away here, like all the way in the back rather than in the main audio control section where I believe it belongs. Now, Bose has always been about simplicity, even if user demand has introduced more personalization abilities in recent years. So it's easy to understand why its app layout has a clinical look with large buttons. Once again, things like battery levels are at the top. Modes is where you can access and favorite your preferred noise control modes. Immersive audio is Bose parlance for spatial audio. The EQ is a bit of a downer. 4 presets and a sad 3-band parametric with no way to save custom profiles. WTF, are we like in 2011 or something? And likewise, customizable controls are limited to the hold command for the left and right buds. That's it. Yeah. Over in settings, there's the useful earbud seal test, although it sometimes doesn't run even with music off and I'm sitting in a quiet space like the instructions persistently and specifically require. So I don't know what's up with that. So there's a duality to the QC Ultra 2's sonic personality. On one hand, I was blown away by how almost audiophile grade it is now, with exemplary clarity and composure even on busy tracks. And yet, there were times when it was a little bit too edgy for my liking, with a slight treble push that tires me out after 15-20 minutes. Like, feels less organic, less upbeat, less energetic, and instead, Rosé's vocals sound overly DSP'd and rather grating. Now, another track that has always stood right at the edge of peaky annoyance is Backstreet Boys doing I Want It That Way. And you guessed it, guys. Before even the first chorus is over, my ears are already crying out for Nick Carter and crew that this ain't nothing but a mistake. Yeah, my fix for it though is dropping the mids to -1 in the EQ and treble to -3 and letting the new, more refined, less boomy bass quality join the fun. But yeah, the Bose sounds very good, but in this case, not great, unfortunately. The Pro X, on the other hand, is on another tier, whereby everything seems to gel together like bacon and eggs. Now, it is easy and somewhat lazy to say that the dynamic MBA drivers inherently do their jobs anyway, handling the lows and mids and highs respectively. But I believe it's all about tuning here, which I'd say is excellently judged. In the default status signature preset, the low end is less forward and warm than how Bose does it. But I'll tell you what, guys, the bass and sub-bass slam are oh so satisfying, and they blend nicely with the clean mids and highs. Now, listening to the same Backstreet Boys and Rosé tracks, the Pro X's lightning fast, consistent, and mostly smooth transitions and attacks fantastically communicate the details, minus the shrillness that would usually hurt my ears and also wake the dogs down the street. The Ultra 2 and Pro X don't have a super wide soundstage, nor do I expect them to, especially for in-ears. So in practice, the soundstage, they sit just past shoulder width, which is perfectly fine for me. Although the Pro X does a more precise job at telling me where each instrument is within that soundstage. The Bose, on the other hand, has a more intimate presentation of main vocals and instruments where they're centered right smack in the middle of your skull. Now, I do want to point out a kink in the Pro X's armor though, something odd about how the parametric EQ in the app works. So when I use any of the presets as a baseline, starting from there, and then tap Add Custom, and then make even the slightest adjustment to any of the 8 bands, the playback volume suddenly and exponentially jumps to scare the heck out of me. And I don't think this is a feature, so I hope that's something Status Audio patches up with an update. A quick note concerning Bluetooth performance, particularly about connectivity and speed. Command response times from when you initiate a touch gesture to the device responding is almost immediate on the Pro X, around 0.2 seconds lag, while the Ultra 2 has a 0.4 half a second delay for what it's worth. The Ultra 2 has also experienced random connection dropouts twice in maybe 3 weeks so far. Like I could be using it one moment and suddenly it will just randomly drop connection for no apparent reason to the phone completely. And the only thing to resolve that was to pop it back in the case and remove it again. No big deal, but I thought it's weird and worth mentioning. Status Audio definitely took criticism about the slightly outboard weight distribution of the 3 ANCs seriously by significantly cutting down on bulk and mass all around. So for me, no longer do the buds cause any kind of mounting pressure on the outer ear canal where most of the weight rests on. That being said, Bose is superior. But when you look at this thing, it's visually bulkier than the Pro X, right? So I totally get it if you think you'll be the least comfortable here. But nope. Somehow, once the fins and ear tip combo settle into your concha and ear canal, the buds feel less like sitting in your ear and more like suspended in mid-air on a cloud or something. There's just a huge difference in how each of these feel in your ear. Like you put the Pro X in your ear and you feel it in there like most other buds you've ever used. You put the Bose in and the buds seem to almost like plop, melt into place. Many have tried and come close, but somehow Bose's active noise cancellation still reigns supreme. Make no mistake, Status Audio's algorithm works wonderfully too. If this was paired with any other model out there right now, it will be nearly, if not top dog. Like bus engine sounds, window unit ACs, and turbo fans are transformed into hushed hums in the background. But yet, if absolute noise suppression is what you want, the Ultra 2 blows pretty much everything out of the water. And of course, we're not talking about tomb-like silence, but let me tell you, it's pretty darn close. Now, I know of two things that pose a challenge, kind of like kryptonite for some of the best active noise cancellation systems: pink noise machines and yelling babies. So for the Pro X, for example, it nullifies the pink noise maker to a very comfortable, whereas the Bose is literally silence. For the crying babies, on the other hand, the Pro X allows some high frequencies through. The Ultra 2 isn't silent, but the cancellation effect is more holistic and quicker to respond. Now, if I were to be hypercritical, the downside to the Bose's super active noise cancellation powers is the temporary occlusion sensation when you first put these on, and that vacuum seal feeling when the noise cancellation begins to take effect, And I know some folks absolutely can't stand that, so I thought I'll mention it. The Bose QC Ultra 2 is probably the best all-rounder in this comparison. If you don't mind compromising a little on SQ and battery performance for arguably the best active noise cancellation in the business, pipping out even something like the AirPods Pro 2 in my opinion for the lead. Now, if you're looking for something with pretty much the opposite experience, a slight compromise in ANC and long-term comfort for superior sonics and tons more customization, then the Pro X is your jam. And I think Status has solved 90% of the earbud stability and bulk issues I had with the previous generation. So there's that. Well, those were my thoughts on the Pro X and the Ultra 2, and I'm sticking to them, dang it. And thank you so much for being here. You're literally like the best audience ever, because you could have been doing something more productive out there, but the fact that you're wasting time right now on this channel watching my crap is awesome. You're the best audience ever. And if you like what I do, guys, subscribe, like, and reshare this with your friends. You know what to do. And remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because guess what? If you haven't seen the news lately, the world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you very much. Peace out and God bless.